Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So you've obviously clicked this video knowing that I'm hitting Protoconcept's new iron range. There's 4 in their lineup. So if you're watching this, my guess is you're looking to purchase some or you want to know more about them. So I want to make this as informative as I can. I'm going to run through each head. I'm going to hit some with it as well. I'm going to collect some data and we'll compare them at the end. And I'll try and give you a little bit more information as well and try and give you a little bit of kind of a buying guide. So let's get straight into the video. Let's do some shots of each on the heads. And let's get some shots hit down the range. So a little bit about the brand. Protoconcept is a Japanese brand that is known for just constantly trying to improve and get better. So Protoconcept basically are well known on the Asian tour. They've had a few wins on the Asian tour. Lydia Ko's one of those famous players that's used these clubs. And actually it was something I hadn't heard of. I'll be truthfully honest, I was asked to test these and I hadn't heard them beforehand. However, since looking at the website and learning more about the product, I'm really excited. As you can tell, I've literally just got these out the wrappers. They are all my specs. I'm playing X100s through each. They're all the same lie angle, they're all the same length. The only difference is the loft. One of them is 31 degrees rather than 32 in the 7-iron, but they are all 7-irons as well. Just gonna make it a really nice fair test. So let's get into it. Let's start with the blade and I'm gonna work my way up. So the Protoconcept CO1 TB is their bladed muscle back. So this has a special forging system where it has ceramic actually inside the head. It's the first iron, or certainly bladed iron, I believe, in the world to have this. So it's completely unique. So I'm excited actually to hit this, as you can tell. I haven't yet. And the idea is it's designed to give the pros really good control, but also to give cavity back style forgiveness. So it'll be really interesting to hit this and actually see what it's like, because I'm going to need a little bit more forgiveness than what this is kind of offering on first impressions. So what's really interesting about this, the long irons have been designed to raise the ball higher. So when you're hitting that 5 and 4 iron, it's designed to pop the ball up in the air a little bit more. And obviously that's a typical sign of a bladed club. They're typically harder because there's less mass at the bottom, but the shorter irons have been designed to increase spin and control. So the idea being designed to land much softer on the green for those target shots. So I'm excited to have a go with it. 7-iron, sort of a mid iron. It'll be really interesting to see how this performs later on when we're testing it. So it's 32 degrees in loft and it comes in a 5 to pitching wedge set, which will come in at £1,625. So it's certainly not a cheap iron, but obviously there's a lot of tech going into it. And let's be honest, if you're looking at this style of iron, something that's handmade in Japan, it's never going to be cheap. So the cool thing is actually this, the ceramic basically is placed through the center of the head, so in this bottom bit, and the idea is it's going to create a lot of stability and it's going to add a little bit of mass lower down, which helps improve forgiveness. So each iron has center of gravity design CAD, which makes them all unique so that the center of the club is where it should be. Way over my head, but I'm looking forward to hitting it. So basically, what we're saying is there's a lot of tech that's gone into this very thin piece of metal that I'm now going to try and hit without a warm-up, but this is going to be my warm-up. So I'm excited, like I say, to give these a go. I'm going to actually put a hat on. I've got grass all over my cap now because I laid it on the floor. Right, let's see what this is all about. So obviously got a 7-iron. Now first impressions looking down at it. It's actually really pretty. Frames the golf ball actually really nicely. Not too small. Surprisingly, not as small as what it could be. Top edge is actually, it's relatively thick. It's actually quite confidence inspiring. I was worried this was going to look like a butter knife and it doesn't, which is great. So let's fire a couple of these down range. This is literally the first shot I've hit with it. So I'm genuinely looking forward to this. Let's have a go. Aiming just right at that flag. Just fire a couple down there. Oh, did you hear that? Wow. Okay, and that actually flew quite differently to what I thought. I thought that was going to pop up. My irons I'm using at the minute, I don't like them. I'm not going to name drop them, but I don't like them. That was a lovely flight. It came out a little bit lower. Oh, this is going to be expensive. Wow, they're soft and surprisingly easy. As you can tell, this is genuinely my first impressions, like they are brand new out the wrapper today. I've literally just been peeling the wrapper off a minute ago. Let's hit one more with this. This feels superb. Love the weighting. I'd say the shafts are my spec anyway. Oh, that feels lovely. Wow. The flight's so low and forwards, which really surprises me. So me as a player really struggle with hit the ball quite high. I can't wait actually to get some data on that and see what that's doing, because that's coming out surprisingly low. That's the best one yet. Oh, that just feels delightful. Oh yeah, okay. That's exciting. If the others are anything like this, we're in for a good test. So anyway, that is the CO1 TB. So I would say more their player's iron, someone that's looking for absolute control, somebody's looking maybe to shape the ball a little bit. So I'm assuming, again, with this, what they've put in the bottom to add some stability, you can still move the ball around a little bit. So if I just try and hit a draw down there, should still find this is easy enough to do. Wow. So that's easy enough to do. So yeah, that makes sense. So player's iron actually feels super forgiving. That felt super easy to hit. So for those of you that are questioning a blade and thinking, do I, don't I? That's far easier than a lot of blades I've hit before. That you can tell there's some tech in that, because there's no way I've struck those as pure as what they've just gone. First impressions, very good. I'm looking forward to testing that in a minute. So club number 2 then, we've got what I would describe as a player's cavity back. It's not a complete muscle back, it's got a little bit of forgiveness there at the back. So these are the CO3 TCs. So 5 to pitching wedge in these is going to cost you £1,399. I always like to make sure I get that bit right. So these are just precisely forged. So they are still a forged iron, which should give you lots of feel. So these, really interestingly, and it's a shame I haven't got the full set of these, the cavity changes as it goes through the set, which I find really fascinating. And they describe this as the Tour cavity back iron. So I'm assuming they're looking at a tour player that maybe needs a little bit more help or wants to launch the ball potentially higher, and that's something that they can give them, or equally might not like the look of a blade. So the 7 iron here is still 32 degrees. So let's hit a few with it and see what this feels like. So first impressions, head is marginally bigger than the blade, still exceptionally pretty. Let's have a go. It'd be interesting to see if these fly much different. Oh, wow. Wow. That felt amazing. I've just realised I've not done the close-up shots of this, so when I show the close-up shots and they've potentially got a little bit of grass on them, or I've got my brush, well, look, they've been hit. It's from now. That's the first shot I've ever hit with them. What a ball flight. They're so forward. I really expected some of these to launch, because they're quite traditionally lofted. You know, 32 degrees isn't strong, but they're coming out forwards and it's very controlled. And the sound, this is an expensive test. I know that already. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to hit these, and then I'm going to make a phone call and be like, I need them, and say I'm not getting on with my irons at the moment. So I was as excited to hit these as I possibly could have been. They are so soft, like so soft. I don't know how they sound, but they're just, oh, that's a dream to hit. So nice. It's just incredibly soft. Like I say, we can go into all the techie stuff. I'm going to actually attach a link below to the website, because there's no point me reiterating what they've got on there. I mean, I'm 4 or 5 shots in. These irons, what I'm hitting at the moment, I'm like, why didn't I never know about these? And I feel like this is happening quite a lot. I mean, shout out to Over the Top Golf that keep handing me these products. They're an amazing bunch of guys, and please, if you're going to buy a set of these, please support them and do so. They'll have a link, I'm sure, to their page below. But it's products like these that just make you go, let's get something different than just the main manufacturers. You know, try something different. You're going to play golf, you're not going to see anyone else with a set of these. Or if you do, you can chat about it. I mean, that's just outrageous. Super easy to hit, super soft, so much control. Yeah, I mean, just a fantastic feeling iron. Just feels easy. So what's really cool about, you know, obviously Japanese culture as well, but certainly this brand, they're always comparing, and you'll see this if you read through the notes they've got with the irons attached on their website, but they're always comparing to themselves and their previous products and saying how they're improving. And they're always looking for this continuous improvement, and it makes so much more sense. Rather than releasing a product every 3 days, they're just gradually kind of going, okay, what have we learned from that? We'll do this. I think that's why you end up with, in quite a short period of time, so I think it was 2021 the brand launched. In quite a short time, they've made some really fantastic irons. I'm going to go up now to the CO5s, 3s to 5s, and then 7s. So these are the CO5 TPs, which are going to cost you £1,490 from 5 to pitching wedge, which again in modern clubs is pretty standard. So these come with a power pocket. which will optimize ball launch and ball trajectory. So for me personally, the issue I have is as the club head gets thicker, normally I end up just ballooning the ball up and you catch too many flyers. The ball just coming out really, really hot because you've got so much mass and it just wants to send the ball airborne. Now the cool thing is they've actually reached out to their tour players with these and said, look, if you were going to use these, what would you change? And they've managed to make them forgiving, but also produced a lot more accuracy. So they're designed to control the ball flight, stop it launching up too high, but also to improve that front to back dispersion, but also overall accuracy of the shot. So what they've basically done here is they've made the longer irons easy to hit and the short irons again adding more spin. And I think that's really interesting. They're changing things throughout the set. Rather than going, there's just my set of golf clubs, they're actually altering them as you go through the bag to adjust for the jobs they need to do, which I just think is such a good idea. So we've got the CO5 TP. First impressions behind the golf ball, and again, brand new, like ultimately brand new, and I will have to film all the shots of the face and things afterwards. Very pretty. Like, I know I've said that on every one, but this doesn't look like a lump of metal at the end of the head, which it had a chance it might do. I mean, it's still relatively slim in terms of profile. Describe it as like an old Titleist AP2, something like that in terms of size. But nice and small frame actually behind the ball. Let's have a hit. And potentially, for some reason, as soon as the head gets bigger, I expect it to sound clicky, but I bet it doesn't. Oh my goodness. That spun back. When that hit the deck, that spun back. And you can almost see the spin on it because the ball kind of climbed, but a controlled climb. It wasn't like an old school ball flight, you know, they used to come out at 6 feet and then would suddenly hop up in the air. That felt fantastic and actually didn't make a horrible clicky noise that I was worried it might do. Oh wow. Tough test this, isn't it? Tough gig. Joe, can you hit these? Yes, my bank balance is going, oh no, this test needs to stop immediately. The really cool thing actually about these clubs is, and I don't think you would, but you can, is you could mix between the sets because the 7 irons are all the same loft. Personally, I wouldn't, because it sounds like they're building the sets for you to basically buy one and stick with that. Oh no, there is a combi part on the website. So I wouldn't, would you mix this with the blades? Potentially not. You could maybe in the long stuff, but to me, I mean, it sounds like they're putting so much into it already through the bag that I probably wouldn't bother. Right, let's hit one more with this. Ridiculous, just ridiculous. And what you guys genuinely can't see there is when that ball lands, it's hardly kicking forwards at all. It's landing quite soft and actually stopping. That feels amazing. I like that a lot. Right, let's go into the CO7 PC. Oh. So this is probably the one that I would be least likely to buy just off of pure looks. And that's only because it's a bit chunky at the bottom, and this to me screams like Game Improver. And I don't think that's the case. I'm very, very open to this proving me wrong. I said a funny thing a moment ago. A runner's just running down the road and he's just staring and staring and staring. He's got so far down that he's running and he's genuinely like this, trying to figure out what's going on. As soon as you get a camera out, everyone sort of stares at you. But let's give a little bit of information with this and hit a few with it. Okay, so from 5 to pitching wedge, similar price to the others, £1,490. Again, first time I've hit them. So these are the thickest soled clubs they sell. So this would be the sort of game improvement, if that makes sense, in the set. So these are what they call a player's distance iron. So what they've basically done here is they put more mass towards the sweet spot. And the idea of that is we're improving the efficiency into the golf balls, trying to get as much ball speed as we can whilst maintaining the spin rate, which is why these are still 31 degrees, but hopefully we're going to see a bit more length than the others when we collect some data. So apparently these offer a unique feel that transitions through the driver and into the wedges, which I don't quite understand what that means. However, I'm going to hit some with it. So first impressions again behind the golf ball. Actually very pretty. A little bit thick for me personally on the top edge, but again, that's just a personal preference. They look a little bit thick sort of towards the heel, but let's have a whack with it and just see what that feels like. That's a really bad first swing. However, it still felt nice off the face. Very strangely, it feels quite similar to the blade, which I wasn't expecting. I thought that was going to kind of feel a bit tinny, and it's me thinking it's going to feel tinny. Right, let's have another go. Put a better swing on it this time, Joe. Caught that off the bottom, but that's come out nicely. What's really fascinating there It's not gone a huge amount further than the others. Which I guess it shouldn't, because it's a degree. I know it's a game improvement iron and whatever, but I was half expecting these to go like 15, 20 yards further. But that is a good thing, because it means there's still enough spin on the golf ball that it's not just kind of flying uncontrollably, which is actually a really big achievement on its own, because honestly, so many irons that are just a little bit thicker, certainly being a pro, I can't hit them because they just, you know, get a 7-iron 200 yards and it's like, what in the world, I can't use that. Whereas this actually feels really usable so far. And again, we'll see when we get some data on it. I don't seem to be able to hit these as straight. I'm going to blame me at the moment. Stops pretty quick, surprisingly. Let's just hit one more with this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Flightscope booted up and I'm going to film the shots and I'm going to have Flightscope running and we'll get some shot data on them. I personally seem to struggle more with these, and I think that's just me. Right, let's get Flightscope loaded up. Let's hit each one of the clubs. Let's get some data on it and we'll compare them. So, I've set Flightscope up. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit some shots. I'm gonna start with the CO7 PCs and work my way down to the blades. I'm gonna hit 3 shots with each. I'm gonna try and hit 3 really good shots with each and then collect the data, and we will see what they then perform like. So I've also set Flightscope up with some key data points. So we're going to collect carry distance, so how far the ball flies in the air, the club speed, we're going to collect the ball speed because I want to know how efficient we're being, the smash factor, which is the difference between the club speed and the ball speed, and then we're also going to collect the spin rate as well. What I don't want to see is these spinning at 3,000. So for a 7-iron as such, we want to see about 7,000 revs of spin. Now this grass is a little bit long, so we might see it being a little bit less. I've calibrated it to the range ball already. So let's hit some shots. So let's say 3 with each, 3 good ones, aiming just right at that red flag. Let's see if I can do this. Lovely strike, but lost it left. Cool, yeah, so 7,800 spin. Wow, that's spinning loads. And it carried 182. So my normal 7-iron carry, I'd have as about a 170 to 175, somewhere around there. So we're in the right ballpark already. That's a better swing. Hit that well. 8,000 revs. Wow, I was not expecting that with these. I was worried that it was going to spin at 5,000 and it's just not. Cool, right, let's hit one more with this. Oh, that felt beautiful. Okay, 178. So just having a look from the top, if I put this in the top view and do a grouping, so we can see actually they're all pretty good in terms of length. The deviation's pretty good. So we've got standard deviation forwards 11 feet, which is very impressive, and lateral 27. So I'd say the lateral's probably more me. 27 feet, I'd still take it. Loading all the shots on there. You can see how similar those last two are, and all landing in a really similar spot. Let's go down to the CO5 TPs. So CO5, so now we're back up to 32 degrees of loft. That just sounds different, doesn't it? Different sound altogether. I would say slightly more clicky than these 7s. I wonder if that's something to do with the way they've made them. Spin rate, 8,200. I spin these more than my current irons. I've got X100s in these, but they're going miles. 182 carry. I mean, it is warm today, but yeah, I don't mind hitting the ball further if I'm spinning it more, because I'm going to get the control the other end. Smash 1.4, wow. And I'd say these are going far, but without being out of control. Like, I feel 100% in control of that golf shot. That ball's not just a spring. 8,600 spin, 181.3. Let's hit one more, 1.39 smash. That wasn't as good a swing, but my goodness, have I got away with it. That's just outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. 7,900 spin. I mean, they have almost hit 3 identical golf shots there. Let's have a look at that from the top view. Okay, so standard deviation forwards 5 feet. Oh, this is an expensive test for me. And the lateral from side to side is 8 feet. Wow, that's unbelievable numbers. So if I put all clubs on there, so distance-wise, very, very similar as we can see. Yeah, cool, right. Let's do it. Let's drop down to the 3s. So these are the ones with the little notch in the back. So they are a very small cavity, the player's cavity iron. And this is probably the iron that would have my interest. I mean, I would love to play a blade, and actually the blade that I hit earlier was very easy to hit. But these are one that would really grab my interest in terms of going for all year round, you know, that usability, workability. Let's have a whirl with these. Oh, that's a really bad first shot. That was just me. That was such a poor golf swing. I'm going to leave it in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit 3 more on top of that. And the reason being, that was just a really bad golf swing. I cannot blame the club on that at all. And the reason I'm leaving it in is I want to see if the bad shot, how much it differs from the good in terms of front to back. And I thinned it. It's okay, it's not a great shot. That was better. That was a nice one. I'll hit 2 more because there's again those first 2, just me. 8,000 spin again. Wow, they're all spinning at a super high amount, which is amazing. The thing I don't like with golf now is when they drop the spin rate so much, you just can't control it. The ball doesn't stop on the green, whereas this is actually stopping. I can see at that end. Still goes 181. They're almost all identical. That felt nice. Oh, the feeling off the face there, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like I broke the club face. And in a good way, I could feel the face almost flex as I hit it. It's like I could tell you how many dimples I hit. 7,600 spin. Let's hit 1 more because I will remove those first 2 because they were just terrible, terrible golf swings. And I can't blame golf clubs for, you know, for user error. Oh, it just felt wonderful. So nice. 7,600 spins. So let's have a quick look at the data on there. Let's have a look at all shots. So overall dispersion, not great. Again, those first 2 are going to hinder the grouping. I mean, that's just outrageous, isn't it? So obviously long left, short right, we all know that phrase. We've got that, but really not much difference. The standard deviation lateral's 39 feet. Again, that was me, but the forward is only 10 feet. So again, we're seeing really consistent landing numbers inside that 10 feet, which is amazing. Mean distance 179 yards, which again is slightly long for me. I'm probably up 3 or 4 yards to normal, and I'll take it because it's under really, really good control. Let's remove those first few shots then that I got really wrong. So we'll go shot 1, delete, and shot 2, which is now shot 1, we'll delete that one. So again, that's me as an error, and I don't want to sort of corrupt the data. You've seen it on there, I've been honest, you know, I'm not going to start just deleting golf shots without you guys knowing. So now we've got 3, let's put this one on the grouping. This is just ridiculous. Standard forward now is 6 feet, and lateral is 10 feet. 6 feet from front to back is just ridiculous. What are the carry numbers there? 181, 177, and 170. They're almost the same shot. Amazing. And that spin rate again above 8,000. So now I'm really intrigued to hit this blade. Does it go significantly shorter? Do I struggle with it? Because obviously, I mean, I'm not swinging it particularly well at the moment. And then we'll compare all the data together. So the CO1 TBs, 3 balls. Hopefully that's all I need. But as you saw, with sometimes my swings aren't always the best. Same line, same shots. So pretty behind the golf ball. Already just that bit thinner. That top edge actually is a bit thinner than the others, and you can kind of tell that. Oh, wow, that's so much feel. That's giving me a bit more feel than the others. I could just be a little bit more aware. Ooh, maybe a slight flyer. 5,800 spin. I wasn't expecting that. Now, it might have been a slight flyer off the grass. This isn't the shortest turf, and I'll be surprised if that was the actual spin rate. So let's hit another 3. But that felt amazing. There's so much feedback through the face here. It just suddenly came alive. That felt better. Let's see what the spin is on that one. That's probably gonna be a more accurate read. There we go, back up to 7,000. 183.8. I used a set of blades not that long ago. They didn't do that. I was more in the 160 area with a 7-iron. The feedback from the club face is incredible, and that ball flight is just everything I've wanted it to be. It's interesting the spin rate with this isn't as high, 6,500. I'm genuinely not sure why the spins dropped slightly. If anyone knows in the comments as to why that spin rate might have dropped a little bit, I'd be really intrigued to know. I mean, that one's 6.5, overall distance 178, or carry distance 178.5. Oh, I've pulled it. I have pulled it. That's my bad one. And actually, I think that's where this iron maybe would show me up a little bit. I mean, 185, it's outrageous, 7.1 spin. I almost feel like this iron might show me up a little bit because of the fact it's so easy to shape. Like, I'm finding that, you know, it was a bad swing, yes, and it's come out with a decent amount of shape on it. Let's just see if I can hit one more good one just to finish this test here. Not my finest swing, but it'll do a job for some data. See what the spin is on that. 7,800, it's a little bit more like it. Distance dropped down to 171. That's really interesting. And it's interesting in terms of, I'm shocked actually at the spin range or the spin rate changing so much, dropping down into this. I genuinely thought this was going to spin much more than the others. But actually that small cavity one kind of proved itself there just to keep the spin rate. I mean, the number was more around the 8,000. I'm going to load up actually all the data on here. Let's just have a quick look actually, before I get my head of myself, let's have a look here. So look at the CO1 TB data. So let's first off look at it from the grouping. So obviously, last one there has dropped quite a bit shorter. It was a little bit thin, not a great swing, but again, we can ignore it. First shot there, 185, 183. It's actually amazing. That 185 one has stayed in the realms of what I would consider quite normal in terms of the rest of the shots on here. 185 again left, and actually that last one at 171 is the odd one out. So if I remove that, that improves the data. Standard deviation forward and back has been good actually with all these golf clubs. So we've got 8 feet and standard deviation lateral is 13 feet. So overall, very, very accurate. Let's just have a look if I put all the clubs on there. So really interesting, because obviously I know they had the CO7 as the distance iron, and we are seeing that. We're also seeing the same with the CO5s at 183. Distance back and forth for me personally was slightly tighter with the CO5s, and I also found the lateral dispersion was a bit tighter as well with the CO5s. Then you've got obviously CO7s, then CO3s, then CO1s. I'm not sort of surprised to see the CO1s down the order. I mean, we've still got the 183 carry, which I'm absolutely amazed by, and I think that's come from a couple there that have come out with slightly low spin. But the CO3s at 179, I can happily sacrifice 4 yards at this length. But what we're seeing there is that lateral deviation at 10 feet. Saying that, this data's saying I might as well use the CO5s. But I seem to remember that sort of I didn't like the sound as much as I did with the 3s. And again, that's just a personal preference. But overall, that data is incredibly impressive. I mean, when you look into it and look at how tight those 5s are, I might hit a couple more with it in a minute, just amazed with how tight that dispersion is, certainly for an iron that's designed for who that's designed for. Let's just do a quick refresher here on those CO5s. I didn't realise, I don't think, quite how well I hit those. I mean, look, you're just seeing literally the same flight there on repeat. Let's hit a couple more with that. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to narrow this down because these genuinely might be a set of golf clubs that I'm buying. I'm going to hit a couple more with the 5s and I'm going to hit a couple more with the 3s. CO5 TPs, let's hit 2 more. It's always good, isn't it, when you're not swinging it well? You're adding more shots into the test. Could have ended the YouTube video there, Joe, but no. It's like the same shot on repeat, isn't it, with these? There's something for me, and I don't know if, oh wow, it's dropped up short. Might be the range ball I've just hit, potentially. But there's something really interesting actually about these, where they're so easy to hit. And I think that's a real compliment to the brand. They're incredibly easy, but really, really pretty. You know you're holding something quite special. You look down at it and think that's incredibly, you know, it's an attractive looking iron. It's not got really any huge amounts of offset at all. Felt like a better swing. That should get the length back again. First one could have been a fraction heavy. 6.3 spin, back up to 181. Yeah, so that's around the right ballpark. Okay, so let's then go back and hit the threes. Oh, they just feel fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It's amazing how as I've gone down the set, you can sense a bit more through the club face, what I would say. And with these, I'm really getting a good amount of feedback when I hit that. I'm really aware of where I've hit it on the club face and the sound of these. Well, for me, the fives have just got a slightly clicky tone to them. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick that up, but hopefully it does. These just sound like a little bit softer. They're just a magnificent feeling iron. I think we found a winner. In my eyes, for me, that's just outrageous. Look at that spin rate. Staying up in the 8,000s, just not dropping. Wow. Who knew a brand that I hadn't heard of was making irons that feel that good? I mean, honestly, it's like you can't feel, you know when you hit a really sweet shot at the range and you can't feel anything? And then when you then sort of perfectly flush it, you get all the feedback, but you still sort of can't feel it. That's that. That's a really, really cool iron. Right, I'm going to load up all the data then at the end. So I'm going to load it up onto a big thing so you guys can see the averages there. Obviously, feel free to look at it and screenshot it. First, obviously, I want to thank OTT Golf for sending me these to test. Really appreciate it. Really cool to get something new in my hands as well that I haven't hit before. Certainly when they feel this good as a product. What I would say is if you guys haven't hit these before, hadn't heard them before, which again, I hadn't, do make sure to check them out. Have a look at the website. I will put a link below. It's going to give you more information about the irons, but really, really impressed actually with these. Yeah, these might be going in the bag. And it's not very often that I say that after just hitting them for a few times. I will be testing these more, but from first impressions already, I'm like, that's a gamer. So yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. If you've liked this video, please make sure to hit like. Thank you very much. Catch you guys soon.